Alright, I'm going to try to do this. Put this in a timeline that I can remember. This is going to be about me becoming a professional wrestling fan, or TNA fan ultimately. So let's take this all the way back to the early 90s, or mid 90s, probably the late 90s. Anyways, you know that you can figure it out. Google. The first thing I ever remember, and I watched wrestling before this, but this was the first thing that really sank in, was Kevin Nash jackknife powerbombing Eric Bischoff off the stage. And this was in the build to the NWO. And at the time, it hadn't been revealed that Bischoff was part of the NWO. I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked. It was the coolest thing I ever seen. For those of you who are not or never seen the NWO, you have to figure out a way to go back and watch it. The NWO was the storyline of all storylines. There's to this day, there's probably never been a storyline that even comes close to the NWO. So from there, obviously went right into, and I followed WCW in the worst times, right to its dying day, to the last WCW Monday Night in Panama Beach, Florida. And I never heard of the WWF. I never even, I knew there was a guy named Stone Cold Steve Austin out there, and that I thought he was on Saturday Night WCW because, remember, I'm in the fifth grade, so I didn't put everything together. I was in the fifth grade. But Stone Cold Steve Austin, I heard that name, and I used to get World of Wrestling magazine. And I remember my favorite wrestler is Kevin Nash at the time. And I remember going online and finding out that Kevin Nash was the highest paid wrestler that month. And I said, yes, 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 I got it right. I'm cheering for the number one guy in professional wrestling. The other name was Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I'm like, who the hell is he? So today I'm embarrassed to say who the hell is Stone Cold Steve Austin. But at the time, I was in the fifth grade. Give me a break. So I went on from there. Wrestling, I did try to watch The Invasion, but it just wasn't the same. WWF wasn't the same for me. And I just got a disdain for professional wrestling. The more I watched WWF, the more I fucking hated wrestling. My love for wrestling was dying. And I was telling this story to my friend. We met up and we hung out. I was messing with this girl from Alabama. Uh, you got to be ashamed of some things, but it led to a great thing. My love for TNA Wrestling. So we're at my friend's house in Alabama, and we were talking about the old days of NWO, which it wasn't that old at that time. We were talking about the old days of NWO and how great it was. And he says, I hear there's a show tonight. I said, what? An NWO show tonight? He said, no, it's just a wrestling show. So at the time, I was in my teenage years by this time, or even preteen years. And I was smoking so much marijuana at the time, I had no fucking clue where I was. But when we got to the building and we went into the show, we started hearing, this is going to be anywhere you live, you can order this on pay-per-view. Well, my thought is pay-per-view. That's huge. I didn't think Wednesday night, $9.99. I didn't think nothing like that. I thought, this is pay-per-view. This is huge. This is huge. What is going on? Why did it's Wednesday. That's weird. So I was at the first TNA show, and everybody was chanting TNA, TNA, TNA all night long. I remember when they messed up the ring got messed up. And if you ever watched the TNA Year One DVD, they talk about this. That's TNA Year One. It's probably the best DVD that TNA Wrestling has ever put out. TNA Year One, you have to watch it if you haven't watched it. But the ring got broke in the opening segment, and we thought, damn, this is some crazy shit, man. There's not going to be a show tonight. They put the ring back together right in front of us. The Harris Brothers. I don't know if any of you know who the Harris Brothers are, but the Harris Brothers put the ring back together. They're big boys. And so from there, I went on to watch it, and I became a fanatical TNA fan. The X Division was so impressive. For those of you who don't know how great the X Division was, Low Key, Amazing Red, Jerry Lynn, AJ Styles, it was just stacked. And there was never seen anything like it before. The Cruiserweights did a lot of it in WCW, but this was better than the Cruiserweights of WCW. And I was a WCW fan, and this was, I don't know if I was just older, so I appreciated it more, but this was great stuff, and I became fanatical. And then we speed up time a little bit, not much, like it only took like I think 2 years. We heard about the deal on Fox Sports Net. I started following wrestling online, and I heard they were going to Fox Sports Net. Oh my God, I was on the street teams. I don't know if you know what a TNA street team is, but we went around and we posted flyers everywhere. TNA's on FX. TNA is on Fox Sports Net. TNA's on. We put flyers up. I printed flyers out of my computer. I used thousands of dollars in ink cartridges and printing out flyers saying TNA. And I promoted TNA. Anybody who knows me personally, shout out to Don, because Don knows if you didn't watch FX, if you didn't watch Fox, I told you, I told you to go watch Fox. Go watch it because it was the greatest thing ever. I made Don watch every single time it replayed. My friend Don. I did a show with him. The one that's got controversy in the title. That's Don. Me and him go way back, way back to at least 2007. And I told him every time. No, it's further back than 2007. It goes back to the Fox Sports days, Fox Sports Net days. So from there, I hadn't been to a TNA event until Bound for Glory in Detroit, Michigan, when they announced that TNA was leaving the Impact Zone, because they went to the Impact Zone, obviously. I went to Bound for Glory. I attended the next 10 Bound for Glories, every single one of them, for the next 10 years. I've been in 4 or 5 of the Slammiversaries. I just love TNA Wrestling. And I have to give a special shout out to the people that are on TNA Reddit. Thank you for supporting me. I know some of you don't, but thank you for the ones who do. I really appreciate it. I appreciate it so very much. And we are surpassing 2,000 subscribers on my channel. I've only been out like 2 weeks now back on YouTube, and I already have 2,000 subscribers. So thank you very much. Thank you for watching. I'm Ken Jones, and I'm signing out.